Hey YouTube, it is the second week of Jungle Cup, and normally I do not like when they go back to back with the same thing. From a content creator standpoint, it's rough because I've already put out like 8 teams. The pro of this meta is that it is generally wide open compared to some of the other limited cups we get, right? Obviously, Great League Open has the most flexibility. I think Great League Remix coming up later is pretty good. I say Jungle Cup is probably one of the better Great League because it has like 8 or 9 typings. And the problem is when you have like 1 to 2, 3 typings, it's like 5 to 10 Pokemon that dominate the entire thing. With this, there are like 7 or 8 typings, and I've used maybe 8 or 9 teams and probably about 20 unique Pokemon so far, and all had potential. So, and there's a couple on this list I haven't even used this yet. So let me just go over the list. I'll show you the teams that I use from 2250 to 2650 ELO. So about 400 over the past week, using a bunch of these Pokemon. I think, I won't say whether like some I think like Vigoroth rank 5, 4 or 5, Clodsire maybe I would put them above Skarmory. Steelix maybe move down one as well. But for the most part, I think these are accurately ranked. I did well with Steelix. Skarmory is pretty good at walling stuff because there's not a ton of steel in this meta. Clodsire I think is one of the best safe swaps in this meta. Vigoroth is the best safe swap in this meta. Shadow Bombsnow has some nice coverage. Mandibuzz is super bulky and strong. The Mud Boys, Quagsire, Swampert, and Whiscash is on here. They're also good. I have not used Stunfisk yet. I used Excadrill, and I would probably replace Excadrill with Stunfisk on one of the teams. I did use Guzzlord. It's very tanky. I've used Mantine. It's a great flyer. Have not used Lickitung. Lickitung is kind of a tricky one because I think Darks are pretty good in this meta, and I think Vigoroth is everywhere. So Lickitung is a pretty tricky one to use. I don't know if I love it at 17. I don't think I would use it in this meta, quite honestly. Piloswine, if you want another, like again, I'd probably just use Abomasnow because you get that coverage with water too instead of being weak to water here. But like Dragonite, Lantern I saw a bunch of. I used Diggersby with Hyper Beam. I saw a ton of Chargebugs. Talonflame was amazing when I used it. So Umbreon I used on a team. Like there's a lot of Pokemon and we're into the 40s. I used Excadrill. I saw Whimsicott. And that's what I'm talking about. Like this meta allows you the flexibility to use a bunch of different Pokemon. So like I said, I went from like 2250 to 2650-ish. Started with start with Trevenant, but Sableye is better. Sableye, Clodsire, Togedemaru. Basically, Clodsire is your safe swap. You are double weak to ground in the back if you run this team. Some might want to use Lantern instead of Togedemaru because it's just easier for most people to use that Pokemon as opposed to Togedemaru. It makes you a little weak to grass in the back, but it's not too bad. Clodsire, I think, is one of the best safe swaps in this meta. You have the poison to resist the Vigoroth. You're super bulky. Mudshot, Earthquake, and Stone Edge is just like one of the best fast moves in the game, and two of the best, like honestly, charge moves in terms of like damage per energy in the game for how much energy it costs and the damage it outputs. So I think Clodsire is great. And then Sableye, if you've been around for this channel for a while, I always say always a winner when I put Sableye in the thumbnail because I always dominate with Sableye, and it's actually going to come up on another team soon, next week, probably tomorrow. This team is the one that I had multiple people say they tried this team and they dominate with it. Steelix, Mandibuzz, Vigoroth, and it's basically Steelix, #1 ranked Pokemon in this meta, Vigoroth, the #1 safe swap in this meta, and Mandibuzz, what I think is probably, I don't want to call it underrated because it's like a top 10 Pokemon, but it is a very, very, very strong Pokemon given the lack of fairies, lack of ice, and just how bulky it is. So this team is super, super strong. Lots of bulk, lots of damage with Dragon Tail. Dark Pulse is such an improvement over Foul Play on Mandibuzz, and then Vigoroth as your counter user, just straight domination as a safe swap. This one, Excadrill, Mantine, and then Toxstroke, Sableye. I would substitute Unova Stunfisk for Excadrill if I was going to use this team. Mantine is pretty strong. Again, you have to watch out for Lantern. There's not a ton of electric in this meta, but there is the Mud Boys. Not a ton of steel either, so Mantine's kind of a nice one. And then I start with Toxicroak. Try to use Toxicroak as a safe swap. So I was like, could it play the role of Vigoroth? Like, you actually like are a great answer to Vigoroth. You still have the counter, but you get stabbed, same type attack bonus on it. And you have the Shadow Ball coverage. It just didn't work as well, and I feel like Sableye is just a better safe swap, so that's when I put that back in. Pelipper, Abomasnow, Diggersby, double weak to fighting. I try to draw out like a Vigoroth with the Diggersby. And Scorching Sands Hyper Beam is so bulky, plus these are like really hard hitting moves. So I was able to like often grab shields, Pelipper's the flyer to deal with it, and then Abomasnow to roam free. Abomasnow is obviously one you want to think about using in this meta because there's a ton of the waters Pokemon which you do well against. There's a bunch of flyers that you do well against. Just watch out for like Skarmory with the Steel Wing because that really adds up quick on you. Skarmory Double Dark, I had success with this team. I had people in the comments say they did not have success with this team, and it's kind of a tricky one, right? Because you have basically the thought process is Guzzlord. You have whatever on the lead. If you Brave Bird and Bail, great. You need to sub into Guzzlord. Try and draw out a Vigoroth or a Fairy. Punish with Skarmory, and then your Raticate will roam free. Now, you can also draw out, unfortunately, like an Abomasnow with Guzzlord because you're half Dragon, so it's not like a true ABB in that style, but I did draw out a few Vigoroth. Guzzlord is pretty tanky to Dragon Tail, Dragon Claw, and Crunch. Skarmory can deal with the rest of it, and then you don't have a double weak to fighting Raticate yet. Why I think I did extremely well with this team and others maybe have not is I love using a Raticate. Like, I've had some call them mascots of this channel for a while. Swampert, I dominated Swampert for super long. I then dominated with Kanto Ninetales when it came around, and then I dominated with Togedemaru now. Raticate is always one that I have used in Open Great League, and I love using it. And I think it's strong, but the problem is it is double weak to fighting. And in a meta that has so many counter users in Great League Open, it's tough to use from that perspective. But I still used it multiple times, and I enjoy using it. So when you're in a limited meta with your main counter user only being Vigoroth, I just kind of know how to use it better than most. So I think that's why I had success with it. So just keep that in mind. It's very bulky and pretty spammy, quite honestly, with the quick attack crunch. Lantern, Vigoroth, Talonflame, basically a safe, like a balanced team. Lantern's weak to grass and ground. Talonflame will deal with that. Vigoroth is your safe swap. Talonflame, man, I know the Incinerate got the buff, which is a huge improvement. Like, it's obviously a huge improvement. But Fly, not having to just Brave Bird and Bail or like Flame Charge up in like not great matchups, having access to the Fly is such an improvement on Talonflame. So again, Lantern is just super strong in like almost anything. Vigoroth, one of the best safe swaps, the best safe swap in this meta, and then Talonflame, very strong in this meta. And the last team, Girafarig, Umbreon, Trevenant. So this one is, I would go watch this video because I actually started off with the loss, like, what do you do against like Skarmory lead or a Steel lead? Skarmory being the tough one. With this team, if you do not see Dark or so Dark, like certain Pokemon are tough, like a Dark like Scrafty would like counter everything on this team. Obstagoon, same thing. So if you don't see a Dark or a Steel in the lead, basically what I did was Confusion, Psychic Fangs, Double Shield, Take Switch, Umbreon Absorb, Alignment. That's a lot of just one word things to explain what happened there. Go watch the video because I really did well. I think it was like 10-2 with this team. And it pushed me to the highest CLO this season. And it was just because like if you got neutral matchups, you would just take it to the 2 shield, win the 2 shield, you still come out with the Psychic Fangs, lower your opponent's defense, Confusion once or twice, Umbreon can absorb the damage, and then you can align. Like there's a lot of times I align like Trevenant on Whiscaches and stuff like that. So I had success with the team. I don't know if you will, because there are core breakers for this team. Like I'm telling you right now, there are a couple things that will just like be like, oh, I'm gonna lose this matchup right away. But when I put together teams and I use teams, I always say I am fine, because I just said like Scrafty, Obstagoon, or core breakers. I have played Jungle Cup for all but one day this entire past week. I saw 2 Scrafties and 0 Obstagoons, right? So it's kind of just like, I saw some Mandabuzzes, right? So Mandabuzz is going to be a tough, 100% Mandabuzz is around, but the other two, not as much, so you don't need to worry about them. I barely saw any fairies. Mandabuzz is around though, so Mandabuzz will kill this team, just FYI. Anyways, that is it. So yeah, good luck if you're going to play this league. I will be playing this league because I'm not playing Master League. So I will have at least one more team to go with Nidoqueen coming up tomorrow. And then, yeah, Nidoqueen tomorrow. And then we'll just put out a bunch of other teams. I won't. I don't know if I'll recycle an exact same team, but I will probably combo. And in fact, like I kind of comboed a mixture of this one because I put so the Nidoqueen team, if you want to use it, is Sableye lead because I think it's super safe in this meta. Vigoroth as your safe swap because Vigoroth's the best safe swap, and then Nidoqueen in the back. So that's the team I used, and good, very, very strong team. I'll showcase that tomorrow. Anyways, that is it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.